Welcome to Make a Path Presents. My name's Ronny Haze, and today, let's talk The Walking Dead TV show Q&A 76.
Alright, that was stupid, but what do you want from me? Let's jump right into the questions. If you want to participate in the Q&A, put your what? Go down in the description and find the rules. If you don't follow the rules, chances are you're not going to, your question's not going to make it. The rules just make it incredibly easy to find the questions and everything, especially putting Q&A the first thing in your comment. Q&A, because look, I'm going to scroll down right now and find those and answer those. So it helps out. It's the quickest way, guys. Alright, Caveman 9. Do you think Sasha can take Michonne's romance story with Ezekiel? I think she can. I think Carol can. I think it all depends on what's fresh, what's not forced, and what fits the story. I think lots of stuff's possible as long as you get creative writers that are in there and they do it the right way. But I think it's possible, yes. Do I think it will happen at this time? I'm not convinced. HS presents top 4. Which character are you most looking forward to seeing more of in season 6 and 7? And you said, please don't say Negan. RJCX official D something. Q&A. Reddit had a theory in which they could potentially gender swap Ezekiel to a female. Do you think this would give the relationship angle to Morgan as a love interest? Listen, I hate that idea. I'm all about seeing the characters come alive on screen. Deanna, Douglas is the leader in the comic book. Deanna, who was a man, Deanna's a female on TV. I'm fine with that because it was a minor character in my eyes. Ezekiel, although he didn't live up to my expectations of how cool he looked, I was like, wow, this is going to be a great character, and he kind of was a bigger puss than I expected. However, I don't want them to gender swap. Just like I don't want a black Negan. I don't want a female Ezekiel. I would be pissed if they gave us a white blonde Michonne. I'd be very pissed. So there's some things as fans that I don't want them to switch up. Ezekiel should be a black male. Period. With dreads. Those iconic characters, I think you just need to give it to the fans. Like Jesus. Showed up looking identical like the comic book. Wow, that was awesome. Imagine if he showed up being some chick, dressed, I don't know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Tyler Vetnar. Do you think someone from the Hilltop community will overhear Daryl talking about how he took out the Saviors and tell Negan, hoping to get their friend back? No, I mean, that's possible, but I don't see that happening. I get a lot of people trying to find ways for Negan to pick Daryl, and I think we all, and I know you're not putting that in this question, but it feels like that. I think we have to understand that the best part about Negan, when he picks the person, it's random, or at least it seems random. But no, I don't think we're going to get someone overhearing that. It's possible, though. It really is. But seeing as they're now attacking the Saviors, like, head on, I don't think they need that. You know what I mean? Brett Reed. When Rick dies, how would you kill him off? Is Michonne the new comic Andrea relationship-wise? Yes, obviously Michonne is the new comic Andrea relationship-wise. As far as how would I kill Rick off, that's hard, man, because in order to do it and give a good response to that, you guys would have to, I would have to draft a story around that, because I can't just say have walkers kill him, or, die of a heart attack, or whatever. But yeah, that's just way too hard to answer, because I would have to develop an entire story line to go with his death. I wouldn't just kill him off any old way. Sean the Don, 23. Do you think Negan will show up before the finale? Scott Gimple mentioned he might come before the finale, possibly, or he's trolling. And we got a lot of... Listen, we need to look at the way Scott Gimple words his words. There's something he's saying about how, yes, what we hear about Negan coming in the finale might not be the case. He might be before. He could very well mean something like seeing a flashback of Dwight being captured, like let's say in episode 13, 14, or 15, as the opening sequence. Dwight leaves Daryl after robbing him. He goes and then we see them camp out, we see them get food or whatever, then we see them get captured. And then it cuts to them at the factory and a silhouette of Negan, we can even hear his voice, don't see his face flat out because that ruins the reveal. We see his silhouette which plays pays homage to the comic issue 100, that whole run actually, for Something to Fear. And then maybe even Negan, I'm getting a little fan, geeky here, but maybe even Negan would say something that potentially, now that I'm thinking about it, could be corny, but he should say something like, no, that is corny. I was going to have him say like, Dwight, you need to learn that I'm something to fear, but yeah, that's corny. Forget about it. But anyway, so essentially we see Negan burning his face in a flashback, opening sequence, and then so we see him before the finale, but not a straight shot of his face. I do believe we'll see something of Negan, but not a straight camera shot in his face. We could, but I think that kind of steals the moment from the season finale. That's a tasty burger. When Sasha told Abe Eugene was going to start taking her shifts, do you think that was in there for the comic fans to mislead? And should Eugene bite Dwight in the dick? No, I don't think he should bite him in the dick. In the comic, I was thinking, oh, that's a lot of blood. How did the blood get on the outside of the clothes? Anyway, yes, I do believe that was misleading to the comic fans. I will be pissed if Kirkman has gone on record saying, I'm so excited to give Abraham his comic story that I took away when I suddenly killed him out of impulse, I'll be pissed because fans listen to them. We listen to what they say and everything. And I know a lot of people say they troll, but a lot of the trolling is us fans taking sarcasm out of context or taking what they say as something completely different. I think that would be shitty to do. To say, hey, listen, fans, get excited because we have some big story coming with Abraham in All Out War, and then kill him the same old way he was in the comic. I think that would be a shitty thing to do. Andrew Spencer. Ronnie, do you think Rick's Colt Python will be shot and destroyed before All Out War? No. Charlie Romeo. I have a prediction on how the first appearance of Negan could happen. You're talking about how the opening sequence should be Negan killing somebody, but we don't see it. We just see a point of view, and then it's going to flash back. Now, that, in my opinion, it seems clever when you first read it, but when I look back at how I would feel watching that, I think it would completely steal the shock right away. Knowing in the beginning of the episode, someone dies right there, like actually seeing it and getting it confirmed. Happening that way, it steals everything. It steals Negan's first appearance. It just takes the thunder right away. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but yeah. So I would pass on that. I think we should have hints of Negan, silhouettes. That's fine. Maybe even hear him speak, and then have him come out of his group, out of the shadows, in a heavy scene like that as a first appearance. And then for the countdown, I want the tension to be there for the fans, especially the ones that don't know what's coming. So when he's counting down and he's like, one of you are getting it, some fans out there will literally think that something's going to save the day. Rick will talk him out of it. Something will happen, and then boom, the brutal truth will hit, literally. Jonathan Villegas. I hope I just said that right. Do you think it would be a great scene if Negan chooses Glenn to kill, but instead kills Daryl? You need more there for that to be a great scene. Why does he choose Daryl? Does he fake us out? Because then it might be cheesy, and we could think that the people writing the show faked us out. I mean, you would have to have more there. I know a lot of people are having Daryl step up and be like this huge hero and take the sacrifice, and I think that kind of takes the moment away. Because if there's a character that's literally like going into it with no fear whatsoever, kind of steals the tension away. Tina Hobbs, how do you think they will show how Negan finds out it was Daryl that blew the Saviors up? I don't think they have to show that. They could have that in there. I don't think they need it right now. I don't think they need it at all. I think Negan is smart enough to know, Rick and them are attacking him currently. In episode 12, we see them attacking the Saviors, one of their posts. Negan's smart enough to be well aware that, oh shit, okay, boom, 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 boom. And let's not forget, Dwight is going to be a dick, and he's going to be a bad guy. Dwight was with Daryl. So, between Dwight and Negan being clever, yeah, they can figure it out on their own. Garrett Knowles. Ronnie, 2 questions. Do you ever think we will see another cannibalistic group? You would think there would be more. Do you think Tobin will have a more significant role now that he survived No Way Out? I think it's possible, yeah, he can have a more significant role. He could even be an Alexandrian that's there for a while, that we see for a while, and then potentially die in all-out war. Now, more cannibals, I think that's possible. I think it's tricky, though, because you don't want them to come off as the Hunters 2.0, you know? Night Cloud, you mentioned Denise saying that Tara and Heath are going on a run, and will that mix with some of the comic storyline? I don't want to put it in here because that is definitely possible. I do think that the Tara and Heath run for the 2 weeks is going to play a part in the Saviors and Negan and most likely Dwight. But because of that, I don't want to go into details. I do believe there's a real good possibility that will play out similar, so I don't want to go into details. Patrick, do you think there's a little too much romance in The Walking Dead right now? I mean, there's so many couples and relationships with the leading cast. Rick and Michonne, Carl and Enid. Carl and Enid isn't a relationship. When they start making out and sucking face, you can call that a relationship. Right now, they're two friends. I don't see anything wrong with that. So I'm cool. I don't count that as a relationship. Maggie and Glenn, that's our staple right there. So that's fine. Sasha and Abraham, Tara and Denise. No, I don't think that's too much. I know you're saying that's a little too much love, but here's the thing. We've seen split-second clips with Tara and Denise. Denise kisses Tara. Okay, it's a kiss. And then you have Denise talk about Tara talking in her sleep, and then you see them in their pajamas when they bring Jesus. I mean, those are split-second scenes. So no, it's not like Bates Motel where I love that show and then they literally go on to Facebook talking about who are you guys shipping next to the fans, and most of the show is relationship bullshit. And I understand for that show some of it mixes well, but it's too thick, it's too much, it's too involved, because then we're following people on these dates for entire episodes. We're not doing that in The Walking Dead. Rick and Michonne, got it on. That was a big moment. Carl and Enid, there's nothing there. Glenn and Maggie that's a pass right there because of how iconic that is from the comic. Sasha and Abraham, we're only getting bits and pieces, so again, I have no problem with it. I don't know how to say this name. Rick Montalavan. I've been thinking, what if the 616 during the infamous Negan debut, Negan actually does choose the same character he does in the comic. And then you said Daryl should offer himself up, like admitting he killed his men. Yeah, that's possible. I mean, Daryl did blow his men up, so it is possible that Daryl's like, listen, I killed your men, whoop-de-whoop. So that could happen. I don't even know if Daryl will be there to mention that. So if he is, most likely Daryl does say something. I don't think he'll get killed though at this point. I'm up in the air with 3 different people who could take the death. The Amazing Spider Troll. What would Shane do if I don't do those what if questions? Wow, I am so sorry, hun. I cannot pronounce your name. Figuarido. If I butchered that, I am so sorry. How do you think the show will deal with the comics time skip after Negan? You know what? I don't think so. I don't think they're getting right into Negan faster than I thought. I don't think they're going to say, hey, let's cover some of the time skip where not a lot happened, because keep in mind, Kirkman didn't just skip that amount of time to get right to the Whispers. He skipped that amount of time because he admitted there wasn't much at all that happened. I mean, they just built the community. So I don't believe they're going to do that. I would be shocked if AMC, stalled getting to the Whispers to show us something that is an original story. I'd be just blown away, shocked, because the Whispers is going to be so awesome to see on TV. Yeah, I'd be shocked. T-Matt. Hi, Ronnie. Do you think that Carl might be meeting Lucille in the final? No way in hell. No way in hell. Listen, they just blew out his eye. Sticking with the comic book and building that character, they're not going to kill him. O and P. What do you think is going to happen with the gay couple? Will they play a bigger part or be sub-characters? I think they're going to play parts off and on, definitely. Gmod Gaming. Do you think Carol and Morgan should have somewhat romantic relationship in the near future? No, I don't think they need to. But if it works out that way, I'm gonna say no. I'm just gonna say no. Stephen Watts. Will Daryl ever get his or a crossbow back again? You know what? Listen, I think Daryl is way more refreshing watching him with a shotgun in just a preview for next episode, so I don't ever want Daryl to get his crossbow back again. Maybe later on, but I want him to stick with the shotgun. And by the way, that's something I called a long time ago. Daryl getting a shotgun after having his crossbow taken off him, so props there. Jessica Quick. Maybe I missed a discussion somewhere, but I really thought they would elaborate on Rick's hand being cut by that knife that he pulled out of the walker in episode 3. Do you think there will be more on that later? I'll admit, I gotta go back and look at why specifically they did that, but that could be one of those things that they just do because they're like, hey, every now and then people are gonna get hurt. Let's incorporate that to the story. Every little thing doesn't have to be some big, play on TV. It could. He could actually have cut himself so deep to where his grip ain't the same, so over time we see, the effect being Rick Grimes has on his body. So that's possible, but I don't think every little thing needs to be like this big, part in the show. Walter Swanson, you're asking me who do I want to die in the season finale with Negan, if that will be in the season finale. And I know we've been talking about who we think is going to die, and that is what you're saying. And I would have to say, my number one pick before this was Morgan, because I really thought they would flesh out his story more, make us love him, and they kind of did somewhat of what I wanted in order to set him up for Negan. But then it sidetracked to the extreme. Right now, I don't know if they're going to set him up with Negan. I do believe they're setting him up for something. It just might be in the next season. But I would have to say Glenn. Glenn is so iconic. And I love him. I do not want him to die. I enjoy his character on TV. But I think for the story, to offer himself up, it's an honor not only to die on The Walking Dead, but it's an honor to die in one of the most memorable moments in the comic. And it will be one of the most memorable moments on the TV show. What actor wouldn't want to, embrace that? And I know it's got to be so much fun working on that show. And they're not going to be able to work on it anymore after that. But sometimes you just got to be thankful for the time you've had on the show, and be like, hey, my time is up, and this is an honor getting this death. My second pick would be Daryl, just to fuck with a lot of the fans. Listen, let me end there. Give me your pick for not who you think will die. Who would you want, if you could just pick a character to get their brains bashed in the Negan storyline, who would it be? Thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.
Subscribe now.